plenary to end, but how we're going to make a presentation to the rescue mission. So if you could be a part of that, we would love to see you there. Let's see, what have I missed? Because I want to get to the meat. The reason that you're all here is to hear our speakers. We do have media that's here, so you might get a chance to tell your story. The conference, Kat is here with Water Citizen News, and she will be happy to talk with you and chat with you. So if you got the chance to share your story, she's the gal to see. And I think I'd like to close with an announcement about California Flood Preparedness Week. There's been so much activity lately with floods and hurricanes and all kinds of water news and weather news. California Flood Preparedness Week is October 21 through 28. And you all are invited to an opening conference call on 13th if you'd like to be a part of that week. Its website is, I thought I would memorize it, but I didn't. The website, floodprepareca.com, and you can get all the latest news there. So at this point, officially open our conference, and another tradition that we hit the gavel, the conference is open, and I will be inviting Darren soon, one of our board members, to come up and introduce our first speaker. It's now open.
Thank you, Mary. Good morning, everybody. My name is Darren Soon, as Mary mentioned. I'm a civil engineer and policy advisor for the California Department of Water Resources. And I just want to take a moment to add on real quick. As we continue our efforts to raise awareness about floodplain management, we would greatly appreciate the elected officials who draw attention to this matter. And to that end, I just want to acknowledge Yuba County Supervisor Andy Vasquez. Andy, can you raise your hand for me? Thank you for being here today. It's been fun applause. Because we don't do it officially, I just wanted to ask out there, are there any other elected officials today that we may have missed? Okay, no worries. I want to also recognize from our Governor's Central Valley Flood Protection Board today, Board Member Jane Dolan, and our Executive Officer, Leslie Gallagher. Well, we're in a great city of Long Beach today, and it's been a fantastic day so far. Some of you have come in. I came in yesterday. Some of you came in. You know what I'm talking about. I'm very happy and grateful for the city of Long Beach hosting us. We have this morning, we are grateful to have Councilmember Roberto Uranga, representing the 7th District of the Long Beach City Council. Prior to serving on the City Council, he represented Area 2 on the Long Beach City College Board of Trustees for 14 years, where he led efforts to upgrade classrooms and connect community colleges with other levels of education through the College Promise Initiative. He was the first Latino ever elected to serve as the chair of the National Association of Community College Trustees. He is truly invested in this city, having studied at and then worked for 7 years as an administrator at the California State University, Long Beach. He then spent a career spanning over 28 years with the City of Long Beach, serving in various departments, including the Department of Health and Human Services, the Civil Service Department, and Public Works Department. Today, our theme is integrating people, water, and the environment. And as we consider climate change and its effects, including sea level rise, I can't think of a more appropriate leader to kick off this conference than Councilmember Uranga, who is a member of the California Coastal Commission, a member of the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy, Watershed Conservation Authority, and the Los Cerritos Wetlands Authority. Please help me welcome Councilmember Roberto Uranga.
Thank you, Darren, for that wonderful introduction. I didn't realize I became such a big environmentalist all of a sudden. I've been on the city council now for 3 years. I got elected in 2014, and as was mentioned, I was a community college trustee for 14 years prior to that, as well as working for the city of Long Beach. My roots go real deep in Long Beach now. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas. Anybody from Texas around here? Okay, my heart goes out to your families. I hope everybody is well, especially in the Houston area. I know that there's a lot of angst about what's going on out there, and then we have another beautiful hurricane coming in. How did President Trump put it? You know, why are these innocent names being put for terrible things? The Irma, Harvey. We have a few years back, Katrina. But you know, it's the way of the world. But the bottom line is that the work that you do is so important in terms of keeping people informed of what's going on with our environment. And we know that climate change is here. I mean, we know that. As a member of the Coastal Commission, I deal with it on a constant basis as we look at projects along the pristine coast of California, all 1,100 miles of it. So every month I go with the Coastal Commission. We meet in San Diego, from San Diego to Chula Vista, all the way up to Arcata, which is up in the Humboldt area, and points in between. So there's an opportunity to really visit the coast and to try to sustain public access to the beaches. All our beaches are open to the public. There's no such thing as a private beach. You may have heard a few months ago about a billionaire landowner who closed the beach, Martin's Beach, up in Northern California, closed to access. And obviously we cited him, and he has basically ignored it. And we're now in a major lawsuit to open up the beach. So people who think that the beaches, there is a private opportunity for beaches, there is not. It's completely open. And one of the things that we try to do also is to make sure that the Coastal Commission is a land use agency. We look at land uses up and down the coast, and we look at opportunities to not only enhance the experience of people who go to the beach, but ensure that it's done responsibly, that it's done with an eye towards environmental protection, access, and an opportunity to shore up the shores and clean it up whenever it's necessary, whenever we can. It is a major responsibility that we take seriously. It is one that we are always constantly being scrutinized for. It was mentioned that the media is here, so I hope I'm okay. There she is. It is somewhat very important that we try to keep our environment safe. And we know that one of the biggest things that's affecting our coastline right now is sea level rise. And that happens because climate change is happening. We have a big port here in Long Beach. Just to give you a brief background, Long Beach is the 7th largest city in California and the 36th largest city in the U.S. We're 500,000 people and growing. However, we can't grow any further out. We've basically used all our open land with very few spots here and there. So a lot of our building goes up. Apartments, condos, townhomes, and that's the way of the future. We're in the midst right now of a land use element study that is going to review all our major corridors and how we can provide beach to bring in people to live and work and play here in Long Beach. Speaking of play, I was remiss in starting my opening remarks by welcoming you to Long Beach. Hope you enjoy your stay. Hope you spend money. We need the revenue. I'm glad that you're staying in our hotels because we could use that TOT tax, transiency occupancy tax, which is what keeps the city going. And our major convention visitors bureau, the CDB, has been those in terms of bringing conventions to Long Beach. I hope you enjoy your stay. As you see, it's going to be very hot out there. So if you have an opportunity to walk today, I suggest you take water with you, get hydrated, stay hydrated. There's a lot of nice little pubs and places and locations you can visit that I'm sure you will enjoy. And of course, a lot of good eating places as well for you to dine and lunch. Back to sea level rise. So there's a growing concern of that. Now, we've had a couple of opportunities to do some developments all up and down the coast that have basically, we've had to press the pause button on some of those. There's a big major hotel development that is being proposed on the San Diego area. There's some oyster producing company up north in Arcata that wants to expand and grow. And we have to put the pause button on those two because they're affecting both the environment and the fact that if with sea level rise, some of these projects might be underwater in 50 years. It's are that within by 2100, much of the coast is going to be underwater. It could be a 5 to 10 feet rise in our sea level. So a lot of the projects that we see here, even this convention center, we might be looking at it being underwater and having to move more inland. And how are we going to accomplish that? And that's the goal that we're tasked with. And I'm sure that within your work that you do out there, you're probably looking at the same things and concerns about how you manage that. One of the main stories that I've been hearing out of what's happening with Hurricane Harvey is that there's a lot of people who are out there who did not realize that they needed to have flood insurance. And so right now they're really, really suffering in terms of being able to rebuild and replace a lot of their homes, a lot of their personal belongings, because they didn't have flood insurance. If there's any message that we need to come out with here is to tell anybody who lives in a 100 or 500 or even 1,000 flood zone that to get that insurance. I personally live in a flood zone and I don't have insurance, but I'm going to get some now. Because I live right close to the LA River, and the LA River has been known to reach the top of its crest and just about spill over. And I'm nearby where I live in a little bit of a depression, so I'm below sea level. So I'm sure that if we get that 100 or 500 year storm here in Long Beach, I'm going to be floating somewhere in a kayak. That thing. But in the end, it comes down to the responsibility and the work that you do that makes it important for everybody to realize that we're all in this together. We all enjoy doing the work we do. We're public servants, and my hat's off to you because as public servants, we know that you don't get paid enough to do the work that you do. So we know that the work that you do is very important, not only towards the survival of our communities, but also the growth of those communities. And we want to have growth along our coastlines and along floodplains as responsibly as we can, because it's very important that we have communities that are going to be safe and that are going to be thriving communities as well. So having said all that, I think that we need to look at what the future brings. And the future is climate change, whether it's real or not, whether you believe that it exists or not, it is here. How many of you, big chunk of iceberg that broke off from Antarctica the size of Delaware? That's going to melt, and it's going to add to our water level around the world. And sea level rise is real; it's happening. We see it now. And I really do encourage you to stay on top of it. Again, and encourage your clients and the people that you affect to look at sea level rise, to consider it seriously, and to reconsider maybe that townhome or that beach house, because there's going to be the possibility that it's going to be underwater and it's not going to be there within 40 or 50 years. One quick example of what the Coastal Commission did to address sea level rise is that we do have a sea level rise document, a sea level rise guidance proposal, that we're using that as a way of measuring whether a project is viable or not along the coast. And there was one project that we had in Corona, being over the Del Mar. The Corona Del Mar is in San Diego, which is in the Corona Island. So there's a little spot of land that the city of Corona owns, and they wanted to put a bathroom there because it's provides public access. Hundreds of thousands of people visit the beach along that line, but there's no amenities for the visitors who are there. So the city of Corona wanted to build a bathroom there with showers, of course, so they could go so they don't have to go very far or go into the bushes to do their business. So when they came to the Coastal Commission with their project, one of the main concerns that we had to look at was the effects that sea level rise would have on that project. Determined that because it was so close to the shoreline, it would not be viable, that it would be underwater within 15, 20 years. And so basically, don't spin your wheels, move the project back towards inland so it could be more easily accessible and it would last a little longer as sea level rises. So we had to reject that project, and let's just say that the city of Corona was very upset because now they had to deal with the Hotel Coronado and their land, and trying to not only, cities are cheap. We're tight. We have tight budgets, and there's not a lot of money left over for us to look at doing a partnership with a private entity to provide public access. So there's this disconnect. Although there is opportunities always for public-private partnerships, and those need to be worked out. But in this situation, it didn't. And so now we have a beach there that's open, no amenities for visitors to go there. And so now they're stuck. And the issues concerning showers and bathrooms and toilets, it continues there. So what do they do? So they have to go back and redraw it and find out what they can do to ensure that there are amenities for visitors along the coast. The last point is that one other thing that we look at in terms of the Coastal Commission, we also look about affordable accommodations, and that's one of the projects that I pointed out earlier in San Diego. Huge project out there that they want to build hotels right along the marina, around the area where the Arnold's used to be, and close attached to the midway of the surrounding area. There's a huge project that's being proposed to build about 1,500 rooms, hotels, and have affordable accommodations. But it's difficult again because sea level rise is going to be affecting that. How is that going to be? How is that project going to address the incoming effects of sea level rise? So I want to thank you for the work that you do with your projects, with your floodplains management association, because I know it's important work. We're all important work, and I look forward to an opportunity maybe to partner with your association, because we all are concerned about the same things. We are concerned about the quality of life that the future is going to be bringing for us, and we want to be able to work together and address those issues together so that we can provide the best opportunities for people to enjoy, not only, but to enjoy all the amenities that comes with it. So welcome again to Long Beach, and don't forget to spend your money. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council Member. We'd like to share with you a brief, very small token of our appreciation for you being here. We have a commemorative coin that is our logo, Floodplain Management Association, and on the reverse we have our logo from our logo contest winner, who is a Long High School student from Millikan High School, who designed our logo, and that is on the coin as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good paperweight.
It is somewhat heavy. Okay, next up, I'd like to introduce you to our co-chairs, who have spent countless hours on the phone and working projects and working panels to bring this to you. All to my right, first is Jamie Labor with NOAA. He is our chair at the federal level. And next to him, you may be expecting Angela George, but because of the weather and because of the way that people in the floodplain management profession, she's unable to be here, so Dan Lafferty has come in her stead to represent the county, the Los Angeles County. And next to him is Michael Sabagian with California DWR, who has also been instrumental in putting this together for you all. They are going to come up, each one, and just share with you for a few minutes what the conference means to them and introduce our theme a little bit to you. So with that, Jamie, would you mind being our first co-chair?
Good morning, everyone. I came from I'm with the National Weather Service, and I've worked in Southern California doing hydrology for the past 27 years. So I've had some opportunity to meet some of you, work with some of you. Actually, before I was with the Weather Service, I worked for the Ventura County Water Protection District. And then before that, I worked for a local water district in Southern California. So I've done my entire career in Southern California. But the conference, I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to, although I do know some of you, I want to use this as an opportunity to meet more of you and to see what we can do to collaborate as me being the National Weather Service. And we put out weather forecasts, we put out river forecasts, we work on flood inundation mapping that we put on our webpage. So lots of opportunity that I see where a lot of us can collaborate and work together. So I'll definitely be looking for those opportunities this week. And one of the themes that we have here, the theme for the conference is creating partnerships through integration, water, environment, and people. I think the key to that is the partnerships. And us being here, that's where we can really make those partnerships and really work on those partnerships. So I'm encouraging all of you guys to take advantage of being together in this room, in this conference, to work together, make those connections to work on those partnerships. I think those partnerships, that's what really helps us work together. We can deal with each other on the phone, via email, but it's this face-to-face interaction where we really make those partnerships. So I'll be taking advantage of that, and I hope you guys do too. My comments are pretty short here, so I just want to put a plan for a panel that I'm going to be doing later this week. I'll be moderating a session on Thursday morning at 11 o'clock in Regency D. And our session is titled Drought to Flood, Operational Issues and Challenges of California's Recent 5-Year Drought. We're going to be talking about the drought and operational issues that agencies have with that, and then once we had some rain and broke out of that drought, how people worked with that. So I have a really good panel put together, so hopefully you guys can stop by and listen to that if you're interested. I just want to let you guys know, have a great week, and I'll be looking forward to interacting with all of you guys this week. Thanks.
Our co-chairs as well will be receiving our commemorative coin. So I will share that with you, Jamie. Thank you so very much. And next we have Dan Lafferty to speak for the county.
Good morning. First off, let me extend on Angela's behalf her regrets for making to the conference. If you were watching the news over the weekend, you probably saw the La Tuna fire that affected parts of Los Angeles County. For those of you who are fortunate enough to live in areas where you don't experience wildland fires, they create their own special flood hazard. In Southern California, we refer to that as the fire flood sequence. And if we have denuded hillsides sitting above developed areas, you've got a real problem when it comes rainy season, October 15th. So she is busy following the fire suppression efforts of the fire department, putting together some plans to help the folks that are now in harm's way from flooding. So the upside of surviving the fires that now you've got to worry about being flooded out come storm season. And in doing that kind of work, clearly there is a lot of partnerships that need to be managed, and in order for the response to be effective to that type of a situation. We've got to deal with homeowners, we've got to deal with homeowners associations, the local municipalities that are most affected. That kind of team effort through those partnerships, you build the necessary infrastructure, and you build the procedures to be able to effectively manage those risks. And Los Angeles County has a long history of partnering with federal, state, and local agencies, as well as environmental organizations and other non-governmental agencies as well. Climate change is creating what was normal is no longer normal. Really, we kind of get to see. In Los Angeles County, the best projections that we see are that we can expect to have similar long-term averages for annual average rainfall, but what we're going to see is greater variety in terms of our dry seasons and our wet seasons. Drought here in California, and last storm season, we experienced about 130% of normal rainfall. And as we see more spiky rainfall and longer dry periods, it's going to put significant pressures on the systems that we've already built and have in place, both from a flood control perspective as well as a water conservation, water supply perspective. Of that challenge, one of the things that the county is embarking on is developing a water resiliency plan for the county as a whole. Understanding that those challenges are out there, and that we're going to have to do some additional work in terms of building infrastructure to manage the change that's becoming, and do a better job trying to capture some of those weather events that at this point our systems can't capture, and that water ends up moving to the ocean rather than being or spreading out and used for artificial recharge for supply purposes. That challenge is something that we certainly cannot be on our own. It's going to take a great deal of people working together, both environmental organizations, local agencies, as well as general homeowners, to put together a meaningful response and getting the funding that's necessary for that and doing the planning that's necessary. And certainly during implementation, there's going to have to be a lot of partnerships that need to be developed and maintained to make that all happen. So certainly, in terms of keeping with the theme of the conference, the water, climate, and people partnerships are extraordinarily important. And I think everybody in this room understands that without those partnerships in place, we're really not going to be successful in managing the risks that we are responsible for managing. So I thank you for inviting me, and extend my regrets for Angela not being here, but may you enjoy the conference and create those partnerships that make us all stronger. Thank you.
Now we have Michael Svagian, who's going to address you for a few moments and introduce our keynote speaker.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the 2017 Floodplain Management Association conference this year. I'll wait here. We hope that this will be a very productive few days. For those of you guys who don't know me, I am the new chief of the Southern Region Office for DWR in Glendale, which is in Southern California. I started there about a year ago. I've been with DWR for over 9 years now. My priorities since I came down here has been developing strategies to not only with better with locals, but also with the federal government as a state agency, and try to bring better partnerships in relation to water resources. It is my honor to be the state representative as co-chair of this conference, which, as you heard, the theme of it is integration. I echo other chairs that it is absolutely critical in this challenging years that we've had that we work toward common goals in order to gain the best result as we move forward. As you know, 2017 brought us the wet year in Northern California at 94 inches, which was a record, 94 inches of rain, which was a record. That put a lot of pressure on our dams, rivers, and infrastructure, which are, some of them are quite aging at this stage. In Southern California, there was a lot of effort was put into our water and put it in Bay Area, had a lot of challenges with creeks coming out of their banks and putting pressure on the urban floodplains and challenging the communities and infrastructures that was in place at that point. But generally, our response was remarkable throughout this process. Our decades of flood fight experience has paid off as we've gone through this as a group. We balance our risk, ensure that the safety of California residents are secured as we go through this process. The conference is one of those opportunities that gives us to meet our peers at least once a year in this kind of setting, work together and spend some time. We work hard throughout the year on dealing with projects and programs and so forth and so on. FMA gives us opportunities to slow down and look around and learn more, ask questions, and listen to what others have to say. Not only the people who are speaking, but also as you speak with folks as part of this process. It gives us time to understand our distinct and comparable and complementary roles and responsibilities as we move forward through this. Great. I have the honor of introducing our keynote speakers. Our keynote speaker today. That keynote speaker, as the program says, was supposed to be Christy Jones. Unfortunately, Christy had a family emergency and couldn't be here. She expressed her regrets that she couldn't join us. We do have a extremely capable person that's going to do the event today. Christy herself took over as the Deputy Director for Security and Emergency Management Programs at the start of the year. When she did that, Randy Fessler stepped in as the Director of Department's Operations Center. At a very critical time, obviously, as you know, in February, we had the major event of Orville Dam. Randy has been with the department for over 8 years. And he's been critical in guiding the department's response, emergency response at Orville. Both Randy and Christy's leadership was critical as we move forward, dealing with emergency and the repair that's going on at this stage. They're continuing to work on that effort, to get that to a result of making sure that dam structure is safe to operate this coming winter. my distinct pleasure, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Randy Fessler.
Good morning. So I didn't raise my hand, but it's my first time here, so I'll get to meet some of you guys before I leave today. So yeah, thank you, Michael. Kristen wanted me to make sure that I let everyone know here that she really was looking forward to being here for the last couple months, and just last week she needed to be in two places at one time, so I can conquer. And I did a good job at skip some of this stuff. I don't want to do anything. I'm going to try to get all the questions and answers in the presentation, but if I don't, you guys feel free to email me. I'll do my best to follow up a little while, but get an answer. Pretty sure. And but yeah, pretty much right now. Prior to that, I did work on her vision safety exam. So when the emergency happened, it wasn't the current territory to me. So I was able to use a lot of my background and step in, try to help out. Two things I want to try to do with today's presentation is I want to give you guys like an insider's view of what happened, how the incident unfolded, what the response looked like. I'm sure, especially in Southern California, most of you guys probably just watched it unfold on the news or social media on the internet. But I just want to be able to get that perspective from someone who was there, has been involved from day one until now, and for quite a while. This part, I want to give you an overview of the work that's going on out there right now. What's going on, why we're doing it. I think this presentation is probably different than a lot of the other sessions you guys have. Hopefully you get something out of it. No matter how many pictures you look at, just the magnitude of what's going on up there is just really hard to grasp. Some of these videos really help show how big the project is. We'll walk through later toward the end of individual activities that are going on. Touch on each one. All the work that you get to see here is going on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we can get that November 1 goal we set for ourselves. So hopefully that helps you guys get a good feel for what it looks like up there. I put this slide just as a quick kind of reference to show you guys if you're not familiar with it. Lake Oroville itself is the second largest reservoir in the state. 3.5 million acre feet. The dam itself is 770 feet tall. It's the tallest dam in the United States. Down at the base of the dam, we have our Hyatt power plant. And then over to the left, you see the main spillway that we saw in the video. And then all the way on the left is our emergency spillway. So the dam and all the facilities are owned by DWR. And Lake Oroville and the dam is considered to be the centerpiece of the state water project. More than 25 million people get water from the state water project. Almost 40 million pieces of land irrigated from the state water project also. So it starts at a time. This is notified morning, February 7th. We were at 2.75 million acre feet, which left us 750,000 acre feet available. Where we need to be at that time of year, right to the Army Corps. We were releasing 55,000 guys in preparation for a space that were to hit. Later that morning, about 10 a.m., we got a report from our maintenance crew that was doing work out in the field that there was water exiting the chute. We immediately closed the gates to get in there so we could inspect and evaluate and see exactly what the problem was. When we turned the water off, there was pretty surprising. The hole itself is kind of hard to quantify, but it's bigger than a football field and about 30 to 40 feet deep. Again, it's a lot bigger than any of the pictures looked like. This video, this graphic here shows it's a good summary of the runoff that was coming into the reservoir that week, and also what we were able to move out through the spillway. So that red line there is when we discovered the damage. You can see we were right in the middle of the first of 3 storms, and 2 more were coming just days apart. After shutting off that spillway, the reservoir was rising still about 10 to 15 feet a day. And we only had about 30 to 40 feet of room in the reservoir, so we knew we had no choice. We had to get the water out. The problem was our main mechanism to move water was obviously very badly damaged. So we decided to test the spillway. We ran a 20,000 CFS for 4 hours, and we turned it off to reevaluate where or how much more damage occurred. So this is, I wanted to be able to show you guys this is what it looked like before, and a couple of areas to pay attention to on either side, both of the spillway walls and the areas outside of the chute. So that was 4 hours previous, and did the test and see the area on the left where we're standing is completely gone. The area on the right is probably 5 or 6 times bigger than it was, and the damage to the spillway itself was double, not 3 times as big as when we got there. Like the reservoir was rising really fast. Storms were not letting up. 50, 65,000 CFS for the next 3 days in order to try to keep the reservoir spilling over the spillway. This time we continually modeling what the forecast was going in to try to balance the two. So all that material that I showed you that became just on the chute and the slopes on the side ended up depositing at the base of the spillway. After it was all said and done, there was more than 2 million cubic yards of material in the river. All that material caused that river to become obstructed and rise more than 20 feet. And that rise in the river caused our power plant Hyatt to flood. Normally, the deck elevation of Hyatt is about 15 feet higher than the river. If it rise in 20 feet, we were 1.5 feet over the floor of the power plant. But one of the really big efforts that was going on that was visible. All the crews that went inside Hyatt to protect the plant and to sandbagging, so pumps and pipes to keep the water that was coming in out. And these guys did a real amazing job. They kept the water out until the river was able to go back down and essentially save the plant. And the plant is the way we move water all summer long. So if the plant were to become damaged, we wouldn't be able to move water out of the lake. When the high got flooded, our low-level outlet are also below ground, and those were damaged and not available for a short period of time. But fixing it, but 3 out of the 4 ways that we move water were either damaged or not available. Let's see. So this is looking down the spillway, that area that we see the erosion. That's the area on the other side where the people were standing at. That erosion started smalling and was moving towards high voltage towers. These are the towers that connect the grid and power in to run the plant, and how we get power when we run the turbines. We ended up having to remove those towers and create or construct a whole temporary alignment to keep high power plants back, or to keep the power to high power plants, so when we did get back online, we could have it available. We're also constructing a permanent realignment to reroute all the power lines around the spillway. So if this were to happen again, we wouldn't have that same issue. So despite letting out as much water as we could on Saturday the 11th, we ended up spilling over the emergency spillway for the first time ever. It started out pretty uneventful. This is the road that connects the dam over to our boat ramp parking lot area. And all the first day was pretty low key. Unfortunately, by the next day, on Sunday, the flow over the emergency spillway ended up peaking at about 13,000 CFS, and the erosion began to, the rate of erosion began to increase, and the erosion was heading back up toward the spillway, which was a big cause of concern. The area in particular that caused us all to worry is that area in the circle that was taken. The erosion was at the right side of that circle. In 1 hour, it moved 30 feet up. The problem we had is the distance between where the erosion was and the spillway was also 30 feet at this time. So in the last hour, it moved 30 feet. And we knew that if it moved another 30 feet, we would be right at the emergency spillway. In response to that, we at that time we were flowing 50,000 CFS over our main spillway. We increased it from 50 up to 100,000 to try to stop the flow over the emergency spillway. But at that same time, that's when the sheriff up in Butte County decided to call the evacuation orders. Almost 200,000 people were evacuated. I think it's one of the biggest non-hurricane related evacuations in history. The evacuations were mandatory for 2 days, and evacuation warning that lasted for 5 weeks. So almost 3 weeks after the initial damage was discovered, we ended up getting the reservoir level down to a spot where we felt comfortable with the storms that were in the forecast. So at that time, we closed the gates, and this is a picture of how much damage had occurred in total. The emergency at the emergency spillway was under control, but now that we turn off the main spillway, this became our new emergency. With all that debris still in the river, the power plant was still offline, and we needed to get it back online in order to be able to use it through the summer and move as much water as we could. So that first day, we contractors, and we estimated that of the 2 million cubic yards of debris that was in the river, we needed to get at least about half of that out in order to get the plant back online. Initial initial estimate said that it was going to take 3 months to do that. That wasn't acceptable. We ended up bringing more contractors in and more equipment, and we were able to get through that million cubic yards in less than 10 days. So after a high power plant was back in operation. So for the next 3 months, you guys probably seen it in the news, but we had to use the main spillway to control the level in the reservoir. We turned it off for a couple of weeks, get in there and do as much repair work as we can. The reservoir rise up, we'd have to use spillway again for 10 days to 2 weeks, bring it back down. I think we did this 3 or 4 times. And on May 21st, we were able to, with the snow melt that had already occurred, we were comfortable that we could turn it off for the last time, and we did. So we ended up turning the site over to the contractor about 10 days early, which was a really big deal because every day is huge up there. You've seen the video, but every day that we could give them is 1 day sooner we can get things ready to go. So when we turned over the site to the contractor, we shifted DWR from our emergency response to our recovery mode. And the recovery project is just, there's 2 main areas that we're focusing on, the repairing the damage that was done to the main spillway, and then I'll go over in detail both, but basically we'll be repairing and replacing the structural concrete on the main spillway, and then using the roller compacted concrete to build that canyon that was created and create a better foundation. And all this work, our first phase of the main spillway repairs, we plan to be done on November 1, and we're currently on schedule. We're going to be done in 2 phases also. The first phase we're going to be constructing a downstream cutoff wall to prevent that erosion that caused the concern. That portion done by the end of this year is on track to be. And then we're going to do some other erosion protection in 2018. This picture is a little rough, but it probably shows that the area in blue is the area, is the top of the spillway closest to the reservoir. That section of the spillway, in the exploration that we did, showed that the area underneath that spillway was still pretty sound. So given the schedule that we have between now and the next flood season, we decided to leave that in place now and focus on work downstream of that. So the pink area is where we're going to we demoed all the existing concrete, and we're going to reconstruct the structural section. The orange areas where we're doing the roller compacted concrete work, and then also there'll be more structural concrete replacement. A couple pictures showing that work. This is the top section. The upper 750 feet will remain, and we're doing repairs as needed, some patchwork, and then we will tie that section into the new work. It's a picture. So the next section down, this is the new walls being constructed, and then that will tie into that existing section. Here's a picture of the roller compacted concrete that's going on. So roller compacted concrete, relatively new in construction. It's been used for 30, 40 years. It works really well. The main advantage is it goes in very fast, and in our condensed time schedule, that's one of the most important factors. And then also in that section, we're going to create the chute section out of RCC2 in order to speed up the process. Here's a picture of the finished product. Those not familiar, the RCC goes in pretty much like asphalt, but it is concrete and it hardens. It's solid when it hardens, and they can do it continuously day and night. There's a picture of the lower section where they completely demoed the entire concrete section and rebuilding it. The floor section. So that's all the work that we're doing on the main spillway. For the emergency spillway, that downstream cutoff wall, like I said, will be complete by the end of this year. This picture shows it pretty good. The yellow kind of highlighted section is the underground wall wall. It's going to go between 35 and up to 70 feet below ground and tie into an existing bedrock. So that way, like I said, any erosion that occurs in the future will stop at that section and not move up past that. The area in orange and gray are going to be filled in with the same roller compacted concrete to just provide more erosion protection in the future. In the event that spillway is ever used again, there would be no erosion between the wall and the spillway itself. Here's a quick picture of the when they first started doing the formwork for the cutoff wall. Drill the 3-foot diameter drill. From, the length of that wall is about 1,450 feet. They're drilling a couple thousand holes. That covers the work that's going on. I want to get through. I don't know if you guys have time for Q&A or want to do it later, but I did want to show you guys the website. The department's website has an area dedicated to the everything related to the spillway, and everything that I've pulled in this presentation, all the independent reports, photos, videos, are all on this website. So if I missed anything and you guys want to get on there, there's quite a bit of information there. Questions? Okay. Yeah, around most of today, so feel free to come up and there's my email again if you guys didn't get it. I think we have one more video, but it's 30 seconds long. One video. First class kind of sounds like all about that. You guys.
Thanks, Andy. Please join me in thanking Andy for spending the last second for the again. On behalf of the co-chairs and the FMA board, I'd like to present you with this point. Thank you. Again, I want to thank everybody who worked on Oroville and all the other response work that was done throughout the year. I appreciate that. Your skill and talents and commitment to service is greatly appreciated. As I mentioned before, we're going to have incredible few days coming up at the conference. We'll spend additional time discussing the impacts of this water year event. After luncheon today, I'd like to point out two sessions that sort of interest me that I want to point out to you guys. One of them is a water year to remember, lessons learned from 2016-17 flood season. This will describe the high water events that unfolded across the state this year and how lessons learned can be applied to future flood events. The second one is groundwater recharge through creative management of stormwater. This session will explore opportunities and success and challenges of recharging groundwater through creative floodwater management approaches. Both of them should offer engaging discussion on how local agencies and organizations can work to achieve sustainable management goals. Now I'd like to turn it over to Mary for the rest of the conference. Thank you.